Dr. Wenstrup.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to play off of what my good friend Dr. Ferguson was just talking about, and the things I want to say. As a member of Congress, I always ask myself when considering policy, will it make Americans more free, and will the next generation say thank you? And I think we should take those types of things into consideration when we go ahead with policy. But allowing unelected financial bureaucrats with their own agenda to invest America's retirement savings in risky and unproven ventures to support an agenda of alarmism and social policy certainly doesn't make us more free. A free market is not free when major financial players are colluding behind the scenes to limit investment options and favor funding companies and projects that fit a certain agenda, especially financially failing agendas. The next generation certainly won't thank us when their retirement savings are a fraction of what they need because activist investment managers went out of their way to promote an agenda rather than serving their customers faithfully. Frankly, I think Americans would be shocked to see where their hard-earned dollars are being diverted each and every day now. You know, so not only do these policies harm investors, they distort U.S. capital markets and more broadly hurt our economy by diverting funds away from the most worthy investment options and instead prioritize pet projects that otherwise would not receive funding. I think the most egregious example of this is in the energy sector. As we know, financial heavyweights like BlackRock have committed to ending fossil fuels and are staging an investment boycott against American companies who produce energy. Couldn't come at a worse time, a time when we need to increase energy production, to lower prices for American consumers, and provide much-needed energy supplies to our allies in Europe who need to wean off of Russia natural gas in order to fully enforce sanctions against Putin and his regime. None of this makes any sense on behalf of national security for the United States and our allies. Worse yet is our investment managers put their fingers on the scale for green energy projects. These very same investment dollars are ultimately flowing to our adversaries in the Chinese Communist Party. This is completely backwards of the America that I know, or thought I knew. And as we have discussed before in this committee, China dominates the supply chain for products like solar panels, electric vehicle batteries, and that's not even to mention pharmaceuticals, which is a grave risk to the United States. We've already spent billions in taxpayer dollars subsidizing the purchase of Chinese energy products. The last thing we need to do is compound that failure by steering Americans' retirement savings towards these same Chinese-related industries. You know, I always say, by the way, until Air Force One can fly on a solar panel and we can make those solar panels, then we'll talk about fossil fuels. But until that day comes, it should be off the table and let the market and technology dictate, not this. So I fear the next generation will not look kindly on the future that we build or is being built around us right now by aiding and abetting our geopolitical adversaries with our own retirement savings. Think about that. We're taking people's retirement savings and helping China and weakening ourselves. It makes no sense. Mr. Isaac, can you discuss the dangers of an ESG-fueled investment boycott of fossil fuels and how steering Americans' retirement funds toward green energy benefits our geopolitical adversaries like China?
Yeah, I call it the China ESG agenda, and it's working as designed, as planned. You look at the North American oil and gas private capital being invested. In 2015, there were 58 funds that raised nearly $50 billion to produce energy in this country, where we produce it more responsibly than anywhere else on the world. And that energy holds the key to ending poverty as we know it. It results in economic prosperity. And just in 2022, we've seen a 76% reduction in the number of funds raised and a 92% reduction in dollars raised in North American capital to produce American energy. And that's why we're not producing nearly as much as we could. We're shifting production, not demand, but we're shifting production And we're seeing dollars flow into Iran from China to the tune of $50 to $80 billion because of the ESG agenda. And guess who's going to be buying the refined products that China is producing because they've expanded their refining capacity? The United States will be buying jet fuel, diesel, and home heating oil made from Iranian oil that is funding this war on terror. And what are Americans feeling? From 2021 to 2022, there was a 30% increase in Americans having their electricity disconnected, a 76% increase in Americans having their natural gas disconnected in this country. This is the China ESG agenda, and it is working as designed to the detriment of our country and to the detriment of our economic prosperity.
Thank you. We need to lay the blame where it belongs. I yield back.